to the medication, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But that's the same thing that led to that, and that's that. I mean, we were talking about immunity yet, or anything. But that's, well, the idea behind that is you're gonna take, and wait till you can pass it, maybe, we'll talk about it, that's how it works. I hate time change, by the way. I just realized, I said, you get an extra hour of sleep, right?
Yeah.
Unless you can't get to go to work, in which case you really don't get an extra hour of sleep, do you? Come on, let's finish this up and then we're gonna start getting into the organism. I think I'm going to, if I do anything with the immune system, it's gonna be very brief, because you guys are supposed to cover it in anatomy 2, AP2. I think it's more appropriate there, because it's one of the organ systems. So.
Oh yeah, like the lymphatic system and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
So, but my understanding is that when we get behind, which happens, when people get behind in that one, they tend to take it out on the immune system, so, which I think is ridiculous, considering most people in these classes are going to be clinicians.
So what do you do in patho? What do you cover? Just like you just.
We're doing, we're picking on, so instead of going over the systems as a system, you go into dysfunctions of each system. So I like it. The history class is kind of hard. I got a little over ambitious in it. That's.
I took it last semester and I enjoyed it.
It's fun. It's interesting. I like it a lot.
I'm thinking it would be next semester.
All right, it'd be better next semester. This is the first time I taught it. I got a little over ambitious. But again, I'm just what I'm doing is I'm just working. The passive one on the side, I'm just going to work through and do as many chapters as I can. I'm not going to rush it or anything. How many different chapters did you cover? And how in depth did you cover?
It was quite a lot. I think the last chapter went all the way to the heart. And then we covered cancer, we covered hormones. There's some other ones that we covered, but we didn't, I mean, the book is big.
The book's huge.
Yeah, so we didn't go through all.
Oh yeah, there's no way. In fact, I've seen one of the guys, he has like 50 chapters he wants to cover. And I'm like, well, unless you're just reading a summary on it, there is no way that's going to happen. So, all right, guys, where do we finish up on here?
We're on virulence factors hiding from host defenses.
Okay. What are the two types of toxins? What's the difference between the two? What are the two types of toxins? General toxins. And then they go into each. One, there's only one type. No, toxins. Where are they?
Oh, like when we're talking about the botulism, the botulinum toxin, and the.
That's one. Yep, that's one of them.
Because we're talking about the.
So what are the two types that bacteria can have? They can produce.
Exotoxins and endotoxins.
Good. Exotoxins and endotoxins. What's the difference between the two?
One is inside, one is outside.
Right, one's made inside and secreted out. That's the exotoxin. The other one is an endotoxin, and it's part of the what? What is it part of?
Inside.
What membrane? The outside membrane, the gram-negative cell wall. All right, and so we're antiphagocytic factors. We've kind of gone over this. Big one was bacterial capsule. We talked about this. Composite chemicals that are often recognized as foreign. The idea is to stealthily hide inside of there. Okay. Slippery difficult phagocytose. Other antiphagocytic chemicals prevent fusion of the lysosome.
Yes, that, and then we're on the next one.
Okay, sorry.
There.
Okay, that one's not going to work because we haven't updated our flash drive. All right, let's talk about stage of infection. You guys have come across this? So the disease process occurs following infection. So what's contamination, what's infection, what's disease?
Contamination, you get it, but you're not sick yet.
Mm.
Oh no, wait, that's infection.
that infection? What's the difference? Contamination is the mere presence of microorganisms on or in somebody, right?
Yeah.
Infection is they've established inside of it, it's not just on or in your gut, but they've gotten inside of you. They established a foothold and they're surviving, but they have not caused disease. Disease is when they start changing your physiology. Right?
Got it.
So when this starts happening, you start getting signs and symptoms, right? Because you're getting damaged. So the incubation, prodromal illness, decline, and convalescence. So here's the general pattern. Incubation, there's no signs or symptoms. You've just been infected. Right? The organism is sort of getting started. If the bacteria is sort of revving up, starting to divide. If the virus is probably uncoding, it's starting to transcribe its genome and start making copies of itself. Okay? The prodromal period are vague general symptoms. What do you think that is? Besides
When you're
being
just feeling
vague general
malaise.
symptoms.
When you're feeling like malaise and just kind of feeling sick.
Again, that's that whole thing. I think I'm coming down with something. You ever felt like that? You don't feel sick just yet, but you got a pretty good idea you're coming down with something. That's that prodromal period. And then illness are the most severe signs and symptoms. This is when the organism is actively growing and dividing, but it's also when your immune system is launched its greatest what? It's really going after it right now because most of your signs and symptoms are caused by what?
Your own immune response.
Now, decline is declining signs and symptoms, where you start getting over the disease. And then convalescence is when your body's getting back to its normal physiology. You've pretty much cleared almost all the bacteria, virus, or parasite, and your body's returning to normal. You don't hear the term convalescence as much as you used to. It used to be real big back in the day. They'd go to, I'm going to go convalesce. I think it was a good way to get out of work. I think it was. All right. At which point are you infectious, if this is an infectious disease?
Would it be the premodal period?
Which one are, what do you think?
Pro-
Where do you think you're most infectious?
I guess incubation. As soon as you got it, you can pass it.
It's kind of slow, you can, but when are you the most infectious?
Oh,
Difference.
when you have fever. Illness?
Right
Illness.
around here is when you're the most infectious.
Yeah.
This is when the bacteria is doing its most, the immune system kicked in, but it hasn't taken over yet. This one you probably have the most organism in you. Your viral load is the highest, your bacterial load is high. At which stage are you more apt to infect somebody? Decline? No, not so much.
I think it's right before illness, prodromal.
Where do you think it would be? A lot of it's the prodromal. You may not be quite as infectious, but that's the period when people are still doing what?
Shaking hands and
They're
grabbing
still going to
people.
work, they're still going to school, they're still interacting with people, they're not staying home. Decline, you've been sick, so you pretty much know you've been sick and everything else, right? So this one, a lot of people actually end up spreading the disease, or they infect people right through here. All right. Now we're going to look at portals of exit. And they're pretty much the same as the portals of
Entrance.
entry, right? Maybe portals of exit are the same as the portals of entry. They're a little bit different. Pathogens often post in materials the body excretes or secretes, unfortunately.
What's the difference between secretion and excretion?
What is the difference?
Sorry. I always wondered.
That's all right. What's the difference
What's the question again?
between secrete and excrete?
Secretions are gonna be through, like, skin.
Or, yeah, things like that where the excreted things are going to be what?
I didn't know the answer.
Yeah, they're going to come out more glandular and things like that.
Glandular. Excretion is glandular, and I.
Secretes is just more like mucus. You can secrete mucus. Yeah.
What about,
Now I'm confusing myself.
what about like vomiting?
Vomiting with excretion too, it's called feces, right? Anything that's going to really need to come out. Something's coming out of the body. So that's like urine that comes out, ejaculate, things like that. Anything that's going to come out will really come out.
And secretes is something that oozes?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So earwax. Gross. I think that stuff in there. Dealing pretty antimicrobial. Broken skin. If you bleed on somebody, skin flakes. We'll talk about what fomites are. Feces from the anus again. Seminal and lubricating secretions from seminal vesicles. Urethra, urine. They used to consider urine a sterile fluid. It turned out just recently that is not the case at all. In fact, your bladder has its own bacteria in it now.
Oh.
We just found out. Vaginal secretions in blood. In females, mammary glands secrete milk. Saliva, sputum, nose secretions, and then tears. Cures in general tend to be what though? They have a lot of license on them, they tend to be antimicrobials a lot, but again. Alright, so transmission is from a reservoir, in this case human probably, or it could be an animal, it could be non-living, to another host portal of entry. We're going to look at 3 different types. And you can have to take some notes in here because I added a couple slides. I know we all hate that,
I do.
but I did it this morning. So, contact transmission usually involves bodily contact between hosts. Transmission within a single individual can also occur. What does that mean?
You can transfer something on the screen.
Something like that. There's certain parasites you can actually also do what with? They can what they call auto reinfect, so you can transmit things back and forth. You can infect yourself. Congenital transmission, if you have these slides you don't want to put it, I just added this one, so that's from another book and I liked it. Transmission from mother to fetus or a newborn at birth. This would be something like HIV, gonorrhea, things like that, right? Indirect transmission is pathogens are spread from host to host by fomites. And a fomite can be almost any non-living thing that can spread an organism. It can be a flake of skin. It could be a car for an event that happened to have pathogen on it. Fomite is just any non-living thing that's going to spread stuff around. Dust, right? Dander, fur from an animal, anything.
Okay.
Okay? It's just a non-living something that's going to move it around. One of the best ones I like is skin. Okay. Droplet transmission is the spread of pathogens in droplets of mucus by exhaling, coughing, or sneezing. Is this the same as airborne?
No.
No, because if it was, they'd call it airborne. Right? This is different. We'll talk about the differences in a second. Droplet transmission is going to be what?
It's only it needs the fluid to spread.
Yeah.
Is that
Now,
the
if
way
I
to think about it?
people with a cough and something goes flying out, okay, what would that be? Droplet.
Droplet. That'd be gross, but a
About how
droplet.
far does that go? You've never got a neighbor stick up? How far does it go?
Doesn't go a few feet.
About a meter. If it's less than a meter or less, it's going to be droplet transmission. People sneeze, most of that stuff doesn't go out to you awful far more than a meter, right?
Ugh.
Right here. This poor girl, this is her claim to fame. She's in like 10 different textbooks. for her
Oh
sneezing.
my god.
It's a little
And it's
excessive.
just her.
A little excessive.
So, anyway, you look at this. That's a good one too. No one uses it so we textbook. I mean, look at this. This is going pretty much what? Straight, but it's going straight down. But even this isn't going to go too far, right? It's relatively heavy. It's going to go out. It's going to drop down. Well, these are what? These are contact transmissions. So droplet is still considered contact. If you sneeze on somebody, that's contact, right? Airborne transmission is when pathogens travel more than a meter. And they're going to be floating in the air somewhat. So it's not going to be that heavy, it's not going to be that small. How far can bacteria travel on air currents? How far?
Isn't there something that happens in the dust bowl to bacteria that's found in dirt and it gets in your lungs and calcifies?
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
From where though? Which bacteria?
I'm trying to think of it.
But how far can it travel, do you think, in the air, suspended?
Miles, a meter.
They found, like I thought I said before, they found bacteria from Saudi Arabia up in the air currents when the big dust storms, those Habibs get there and blows it up in there, and it's come all the way over.
The United States?
Hmm?
The United States, you saying?
Do you want one?
Saying it's going overseas?
Yeah. They got up in the air currents, way high in the air current. So,
That's scary.
but I mean, are most of those going to be pathogenic?
Oh no.
Probably not. They're coming up from the soil. Secondly, what's going to hit them when they're real high up in the air like that?
The ozone.
The ozone's not so much. Ozone could be there. That could be some of it, but it's not. It's not. Probably need more of it. Then what else?
Maybe UV light.
UV light. A lot of UV lights can be hitting it.
That is crazy.
Okay. So aerosols can occur from various activities: sneezing, coughing, air conditioning systems, sweeping. So you can sneeze and cough, but it's not gonna be that big chunk of mucus, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be more of the organism somebody's gonna travel for a ways. Now, what about air conditioning and sweeping? Those are two particular ones they brought up, because we're gonna cover two different organisms that have been transmitted this way. Does anybody know what they are?
What organisms?
One of them we've made with the Four Corners famous for a while. I'll get to that one in a minute when we get to epidemiology. The other part, air conditioning, is Legionnaire's disease. You ever heard of that one?
No.
Nobody? They just had 4 different outbreaks of it. Make people start reading the newspaper. Wait, there are no newspapers anymore. I'll make people start reading something. Legionnaire's disease. We'll go with that one in general. It lives in water. It's called Legionnaire's disease because there was several cases of pneumonia of unknown etiology at a Legionnaire's convention. And a bunch of these old guys all died from it. And that's where it got its name. It turned out it was in those air conditioners, just like the ones above you guys right now. Blowing down Legionnaire's disease on you.
And people with immune compromised systems are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty much, it's ubiquitous. They thought it was just several places. It turns out it's almost every water.
Oh.
All right, waterborne transmission is important. Spread of many gastrointestinal diseases. This is called the fecal-oral route in general, which means somewhere you got some fecal contamination in that water, and you end up ingesting it, and it's going to cause problems. Give me 3 examples of this.
Oh, like E. coli,
Coli
listeria.
Mm,
Just kidding.
could be. I never heard of listeria being transmitted in water, but what are big ones?
E. coli.
We already got E. coli. But going back to the white rat of microbiology. What's another one? Salmonella.
Ah, that one. What's the other one?
Shigella. Cholera.
Malaria or?
Malaria is a protozoan. It's actually
Oh, that's
vector borne, which is the next one. All right. So here's vehicle transmission 2. This would be food, would be considered a vehicle. Here's water, which is probably going to be fecal oral. And here's air. Did you ever think about this? There's a big issue in the southwestern desert. It's a fungal infection. It used to be called San Joaquin Valley fever.
Wow.
Or valley fever. And it lives in the sandy, dusty soils. Is that one you're thinking of?
Yeah, that's that one.
All right, vehicle, so foodborne, spread by pathogens in or on food. Name an example of that one. Salmonella. What's another one?
Sick.
I'm having a stroke. Okay, better. Okay, what's another one? Salmonella, E. coli, all those fecal oral ones, right? So let's try another one. What did you say a minute ago?
Listeria.
Listeria?
There's that one that you always get. Well, they get at Walmart. Every time I bring my baby.
Get Walmart.
Yeah, when my son was little, I put him in the basket. Like I'd always like disinfect everything because he'd always get diarrhea when we.
Oh, that's rotavirus. That's
Rotavirus.
rotavirus.
Yeah.
How much they charge for that?
I don't know. I would just do it.
Right. How about some of the Vibrios? Who here likes oysters?
No.
Come on, raise your hand. Don't look at other people. There's a couple of the Vibrios that get in there that are pretty nasty. You have to worry about. Right? They can actually cause death if you're immunocompromised or they're really bad if you have liver disease. What's some other ones? How about pork? What's in pork? Remember, we're not just talking about bacteria here. Why don't we eat raw pork? Aside from it sounds gross. Why is there a problem? Now, they got rid of all in the U.S. finally. Pork in the U.S. is supposedly considered trichomonas, trichinella, and tapeworm free.
Tapeworm.
All right. Inadequately processed, cooked, or refrigerated foods. And then this big one here, we talked about feces. But this right here is a big one too. You don't cook your food, especially things like pork and stuff, long enough, you can get what? Trichinosis and pork tapeworm. They did a survey actually along the Paso Juarez border, and they looked at the number of incidents of people who had trichinosis cysts in their brains.
Wow.
Which side of the border do you think was worse?
Juarez,
Hmm?
Mexico.
Think so?
Yeah.
What do y'all think? US side was. Because Mexico, at least back then, not randomly, would give out monthly anti-parasitic treatments to a lot of their citizens because of the potential issues with it.
Wow.
Whereas people here would even get that. So actually, it was more prevalent in the US, on the El Paso side. All right, bodily fluids such as blood, urine, saliva can carry pathogens, prevent contact with conjunctiva or breaks in the skin or mucous membranes. What are some bodily fluids they're missing on this? Because you guys are going to have to take what they call bloodborne pathogen training every year when you get into hospitals, universities, clinics, anywhere else.
So mucus.
So you've got what's missing here? Got blood, they got urine, they got saliva. And this is a weird one to me, the way they throw them around with each other. So bodily fluid transmission, are they talking about STIs here?
No, yeah, STIs.
They're not talking about semen or vaginal secretions here, are they? Aren't those bodily fluids?
Yeah.
That's what my tech they were. They like to throw that one into the direct contact one.
Oh.
To me, I think it would go here. But anyway. How about this? You guys ready for lunch now? Improperly stored food that's been left out, food that hasn't been refrigerated. All right. Now, biological vectors. This is a big one. I'll get through this today. Transmission of pathogens and serve as a host for some stages of the pathogen life cycle. Okay, these are going to be vectors. Most of these are going to be what? Arthropods, which means they're insects. They can both transmit them, and they can serve as reservoir host for some of them. Zika, they found out, can replicate inside of one of the types of mosquitoes that's prevalent in the U.S., Culex, can actually replicate inside of there. So that's going to be a what then for it?
Vector.
Vector and a reservoir host. Okay. So these are new ones. I mean, okay, give me 5 diseases and not Zika. They're transmitted by insect vectors.
Malaria.
Malaria?
AIDS.
No, AIDS cannot.
Lyme
Lyme
disease.
Rabies.
Which one?
Oh, is that?
Rabies? No, rabies is only warm blood.
Okay.
Chagas disease? Oh God, there's like 50 billion. Dengue?
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, the dengue fever,
Dengue,
yeah.
good. That's the most known mosquito. Huh?
No, but it's warm blooded.
So which one's up? Oh, yeah. That's, a lot of people don't remember. That's a good one, actually.
Oh.
A lot of people don't think that. The plague is on, it was on rats, right? But how is it transmitted?
Please.
It's actually transmitted by the flea, not by the rat itself.
Oh.
The rat serves as reservoir host for it. Okay, mechanical vectors are passively transmitted pathogens present on their body to new hosts. This would be that fly that just landed on your hamburger that just flew off the dog poop in the backyard. Or it could be the cockroaches crawling across your dinner plates in your cabinet at night you don't see it.
Would it be like what he just said about the rats and they were holding it, but it was the fleas that passed it?
No,
Would they
this is
be-
just a mechanical. So this
It's just
would
that
be-
they walk.
It's on the organism, and you're gonna come into contact. It's gonna move it. You could throw this one into lizards and salmonella. Most lizards now they think have salmonella on them. That would be on a mechanical vector. It's just physically moving it from one place to another. Okay. Here's some examples. Again, mosquitoes are what? Scourge of the world. Okay. Ticks, fleas. Look at all these organisms later on. Might as well look at them now because someone might just want you to know what the organism is and what it causes and how you get it. What? What? So, housefly, Shigella, Salmonella, E. coli, because where do flies like to go?
Poop.
Poop, and what does poop have in it? A lot of poop in it, right? Cockroaches, Shigella, Salmonella again, E. coli. But know the difference. People always miss the mechanical vectors for some reason, right? A fly biting a patient and giving him a bacterial infection, is that an example of a mechanical vector?
No.
No. They're right there. All right. So again, this is a really good slide to think of. This, use some examples of it. See, in a direct contact, they have what? Hand washing. I have a problem with this book. Because it has handshaking and kissing. How many things are transmitted by handshaking and kissing? Maybe herpes simplex one, but everybody's already been exposed to it anyway, so I wouldn't really worry about that much. And that's what they have. They have herpes, but I mean, that was kind of bad. See, where do they have mechanical vectors? Again, they got E. coli, roaches, mites, flies, foodborne, poultry, seafood. Airborne. Don't forget this one on airborne. Everybody always forgets dust particles. Like that one back there. I might use that as a question. I put it in somewhere. Did we talk about sushi in the lab?
No.
Oh, we here like sushi.
Me, don't ruin it.
Does anybody here not like sushi? What?
It's
You like
gross.
oysters but not sushi?
I don't like oysters either.
Oh.
Why would you?
How about ceviche?
I don't like ceviche.
Okay, who thinks that lime juice, we'll talk about it in the lab, 'cause we got a little bit of time, we'll go over that in the lab, I'll ruin it for you. Well, I won't ruin it. Told you when you get out of here, you're not gonna eat anything. All right, I just threw this in and look at some different ones here. So representative normal microbiota in the body, I thought this would look good. On the skin, what's the main one? Staphylococcus, right? I'll post this up for you, so you know, yeah. Put it back there, just want to show you how many can also be on the surface of the skin. Most of the microbes in direct contact with skin don't become residents because why? So these will be transient ones, right? Most of them are transient. Okay. Secretions from sweat, oil glands. Eyes, there's a little more you thought. Staph epidermidis, Staph aureus can be in there. Diphtheroides, Propionibacteria, corny bacteria, strep, and micrococcus. Nasal and upper respiratory tracts. So this is where you usually find a lot of Staph aureus as opposed to epidermidis. So when they have you guys swab all your noses and see who's got Staph aureus. And then we'll see if anybody's got MRSA on.
What?
Somebody here does. Alright. Alright. And then mouth. What's one in the mouth? Neisseria. Primary components. What am I looking for? Oh yeah. What's the very first one on mouth?
Strep.
Strep. What is the strep throat? Most people have, or a lot of people have strep as a part of the normal microbiome. All right. Disease can be classified in a number of ways. And almost every disease can be put in every one of these classifications, right? So the body system they affect would be what? What is influenza? What body system does it affect?
Upper respiratory?
Well, usually lower. Influenza is more lower respiratory.
Okay.
Cold would be upper respiratory, generally. Okay. Hepatitis. Okay, where's the liver? That's not an organ system. Body system. People always forget where the poor liver gets fit into this poor thing.
Hepatic?
That's liver.
Oh, I thought you were asking liver. I'm sorry.
What is it?
What's the question?
What body system does the liver fall into?
No, lymphatic?
Usually the digestive tract, gastrointestinal system. Usually, I mean, some people throw in the endocrine a little bit. Its main function is what?
Filtration. And...
Poor liver gets left out. Taxonomic categories. That's going to be taxonomic. They know that one. I'm going to go to that one. Their longevity and severity. Is it an acute illness? Is it a latent illness? Is it a chronic illness? Okay, we'll go over those in a minute. How they're spread to their host. Is it airborne? Is it bloodborne? Is it vector-borne? Effects it have on populations. Is this a potential epidemic causing? Is this a endemic? Is this something that could be a pandemic? Does that have high morbidity, mortality in the population? Okay. So now we're going to go through these. Oh, a lot of people don't know. An acute disease is what? It's not acute.
Doesn't go away?
cute little infection.
No, it's just.
Huh?
Doesn't go away?
Short-lived. You get a quick,
Short-lived.
the
Oh,
cold would be
opposite.
in a what? An acute. How about the flu? Yeah, it's still acute. You don't have the flu more. I mean, you may be fatigued for a couple of weeks, but it's still an acute illness, right? Okay, chronic is a disease that usually with mild symptoms that develop slowly and lasts a long time. What is a chronic disease? That is a microorganism. So not diabetes, not heart disease, not, it's a little bit harder, huh?
Yes.
Which one? Hepatitis. Okay? Would hepatitis be chronic? Some of these are tough to fit in here, so hold on to that one. Okay, what else?
Would AIDS be it because it keeps coming, like it just stays in you forever? AIDS, chronic.
That one I would definitely throw under latent.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Because
So-
we have a problem with chronic and latent.
So would it be like?
How about have you ever heard people have chronic sinus infections or chronic ear infections? These things that flare up over time and kind of go away and never get really, really bad. Things like that. Hepatitis is interesting, but I don't know really where to put that. Probably would put it under chronic. Because it's always there at low levels, even though you don't know what's there causing potential problems. Subacute is when they ran out of names. It's not acute, it's not chronic, we'll make it subacute. I'm gonna find some examples of these. Asymptomatic are gonna be diseases without symptoms. So again, could hepatitis be asymptomatic?
Sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of people have hepatitis and they never even know, they never actually have problems with it. Okay. A lot of STDs can be what? Asymptomatic in a lot of patients, right? Okay, latent disease, a disease that appears a long time after infection, that's the one I would throw HIV into. It's kind of weird because chronic is kind of always there, right, in low levels, whereas latent is it sits there and just takes a while, and then after a while it comes on full blow. All right, communicable diseases are ones that can be transmitted from one host to another. You don't hear that word that much, but that's what that's called. That's a communicable disease, okay? An infectious disease, what's the difference? Oh, I'm not infectious. A contagious disease, I'm sorry. What's the difference between being communicable and being contagious?
It's, I guess from the description, it's easier to spread.
Right. Things that are considered contagious diseases are easily spread from person to person to person.
So it wouldn't be like a bloodborne one. It
Those
would be
would be
some,
what?
that would be communicable.
That'd be communicable, right? Because they're not easily spread. There are certain circumstances, hepatitis, HIV, things like that. The flu would be what?
A contagious.
A contagious. The cold would be what? Contagious. How about pink eye? Bacterial conjunctivitis.
No, contagious.
That might be contagious, right? It's not around that much, but you can spread it pretty easily. Non-communicable diseases are diseases arising from outside the host or a disease from an opportunistic pathogen. Salmonella. Are you going to give somebody else salmonella directly? No. If you go and poop in their water supply, you might give it to them indirectly, but you're not going to give it to them directly, right? You're not going to pass it on from one person to another. Those are non-communicable. A local infection confined to a small region of the body. If I have a small staph infection right here, that would be what?
Local.
That would be local, right?
Yeah.
Systemic infections are widespread throughout the body. Okay? Most viral diseases have somewhat of a systemic component to it, right? If you have the flu, it's pretty systemic more than you think. Okay? Now, the one that's a little bit harder is a focal infection. What's a focal infection?
Would that be like when you take an antibiotic that kills a bacteria and allows other bacterias?
That'd be a super infection or secondary infection, depending on where that organism came from.
Okay.
Remember the staph infection I had?
Yeah, it's localized.
If it was localized, but if it went systemic, and I got necrotizing fasciitis, or I got bacteremia or septicemia, the focal infection would have been what? That first little staph infection. That would have been where it started, and then it would have spread elsewhere. So, infection is serves as a source of pathogens for infections to other sites of the body. And the primary infection, we all know what that is an initial infection within a given patient. And what's a secondary infection?
Infection that follows after.
Right.
Immune system's fucked up.
So because no matter what, if you battle something like the flu or anything else, your immune system's been overrun, but usually you're immune compromised after you get done with that. What a lot of people get from the flu.
So that's why you get
Pneumonia.
source, right? Because their immune system's already
Right, usually
compromised, and then if they have that virus in them.
it's gonna come out because your immune system is usually sort of suppressing it down again. How about when people die of the flu, what do they die of actually?
Pneumonia, isn't it?
The pneumonia. So pneumonia is a secondary infection. Strep is usually a secondary infection a lot of times. You get a really bad cold or something that's almost always there. All right. I put these in here because I wanted to talk about them. I know I had you remember them, but I want to throw them in the mix for you. So why don't you add viremia to the bottom of this?
Viremia?
Viremia.
With a V or a B?
V-I-R.
V as in Victor?
Victor, V-I-R, emia, viremia. Which is just what?
Something to do with viruses.
It's virus in the blood, viremia. That's what they look for. They look for your virus. You have virus in the blood. It's moving around here.
Is that like viral load? Is that the same thing? Or?
You can look at the viral load if you got viremia, yeah. All right, so the difference is, let's go from the bacteria. Bacteremia, like I said, it's just bacteria in the blood, right? But it's not doing anything. Septicemia is what they call blood poisoning. This is when the bacteria is actually growing and metabolizing in your blood. That's way worse. You can be making toxins and all kinds of things. And then, what did I say sepsis was? Because a lot of people confuse sepsis and
I
septicemia.
always do.
Sepsis is what?
Oh, you get the inflammatory response?
It's the immune response, usually to septicemia. Usually once you get septic, you get septicemia, and then sepsis is this massive immune response that's launched against that, right?
So, is sepsis a counteractive response
Yeah.
for septicemia?
Yeah, usually. And it may not necessarily, you may not necessarily have to have septicemia, but it's often it follows septicemia.
Right.
So, but it's just a massive immune response to an infection. And it just gets overblown. You usually die from multi-organ failure. Just huge inflammation. And viremia is just viruses in the blood. All right. Oh no, we got, oh, it takes so long to get through these slides. Okay, track the occurrence of a disease using two measures, incidence and prevalence. I want to talk about these right here. Incidence is the number of new cases of a disease in a given area during a given time period. How many flu cases does El Paso have in 2019? That would be the incidence, right? Or you could do it in a month. We have 450 confirmed cases of influenza in the month of November. That would be the incidence, right? Prevalence is the total number of cases of a disease in a given area during a given period of time. Prevalence takes into account new cases and existing cases. So prevalence,
New?
if you're an acute disease, it's going to change the prevalence, right? So flu, okay? The flu is going to be gone, what? In a month, right? For most people. So is it going to keep adding on to the prevalence with all the new cases?
No.
You know what I mean? If you have 400 cases of flu right now, next month you get 500 new ones. Is the prevalence now going to be 900? No, because these cases, most of these cases have gone away. But if you look at something like hepatitis or HIV, your prevalence would be what? The incidence rate would be one measure, the prevalence would be another measure, right? Because HIV is going to be around for lifelong, so it's always going to be part of the prevalence. How many cases of a disease are there in a given area at a given time? Okay. Occurrence also elevated in terms of frequency and geographic distribution. Okay. If you live next to standing water, your odds of getting what? Mosquito-borne illnesses are much greater than than if you live way up in the mountain of the desert. Are you gonna get West Nile virus if you live way out in the middle of the Chihuahua Desert somewhere? No, right? You wanna get something else. So this right here is one right here. This is AIDS. So this is interesting, guys. Look what happened here. 86 is when they started tracking incidence rates of AIDS, not HIV. This is AIDS, right?
What the heck?
So what happens here? incident rate keeps going up, keeps going up, keeps going up, keeps going up. What probably happened here?
They've probably figured out the drug remedy, like not the
That's
remedy,
drug,
but
that
the.
would, but drugs are only given to people after they had
Oh,
been
that's true.
infected.
A test was given to see who had it to reveal.
Could have been, could a couple different things could be going on here. A couple things could be testing, that's gonna affect the incidence rate, right? Also, this could have finally been the effect of what?
Awareness.
All the awareness and all the public service,
Awareness.
public health campaigns and everything else. People finally were like, okay, time to stop. Because if you look at the trends for all the other STDs, they follow almost the same thing. All the other STDs also dropped off at this point. But the problem with AIDS is the incident rate is gonna keep doing what?
The incident or prevalence, because
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, prevalence, I'm sorry, not, you know. It keeps going what? Up and up and up and up, bam, what do you think happened here? My guess here would be what you were saying, this would be probably when widespread testing came in. And so, you know, the people had already had AIDS for a while, right? And it went bang, so that would be my guess, when widespread testing.
I'm still a little confused
But
about the difference between incidence and prevalence. I'm sorry.
that's okay, that's, I don't like that graph, that's a good
One of them is just new cases.
just new cases, which is
And the other one
incident.
is
Incidences.
total of new and current.
Right.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So
I got
the
it.
incidence is just the number of new cases in an area at a given time.
New.
Prevalence is the number of new cases plus existing cases in an area at a given time.
Shouldn't that supersede then?
Huh?
Shouldn't the prevalence be much higher than the incidence because you're taking into consideration of your incidence and
Yeah, and it should be, and it usually does, usually keeps going up. But it depends, it only depends on the disease, right? If it's something like the flu, is prevalence gonna keep going up?
No.
No, in fact, it's gonna, something with acute illnesses are almost gonna mirror each other, right? Because it's short-lived, you're gonna have this many new cases of flu, and then you may add on some carryover from the last month, but they're gonna be pretty close. Only thing like this is gonna be chronic disease or latent diseases. Hepatitis, HIV, herpes, some of the STDs, maybe things like that. A lot of the STDs will keep
So
going up.
the graph for hepatitis probably looks like this too because they're finding it in a bunch of baby boomers, correct, or something like that?
It'd be similar, but it wouldn't have this weird, probably this fluctuation. Hepatitis is probably pretty steady. Because most people what? Don't know they have it.
Yeah.
I mean, half the people don't know they have AIDS or HIV. Hepatitis is even more so. But then what's happened with hepatitis lately?
They're finding cures.
There's vaccines for A and B, so that one's gonna go way down. C, now there's treatments for it. Just to know what prevalence and things are. Okay, what do you think this is, real quick, and I gotta let you guys go. Maybe we finish this up in lab.
Oh,
Because we're gonna do the Kirby Bauer test, all you're gonna do today is treat the plate and add the little discs. Alright, what do you think this might be? So this is gonna be based reporting. So this is reporting of cases per 100,000 population. Okay, so this is telling you which geographic region, how many people are getting this particular disease in this geographic region over a certain amount of time.
how prevalent it is?
It could be incidents, actually probably incidents in this one, not quite. Well, no, they may do both, they may do prevalence, because this could be both, yeah. You gotta think whether it's acute or that's gonna be kind of, no reason I'm saying that it's an acute. So what do you think it might be? What are we looking at here? That's the percentage of cases. So this will probably definitely be incidents here, and they're looking at new cases that are in here.
would it be? Would it be something that's carried by an insect because the colder climates?
See, then you look at it, the flu's gonna do the same thing, but look at the months. See, that one, your flu would be skewed over to maybe starting here, not ending here, it's gonna be much wider too. So it could be a mosquito borne, right?
Right.
And this is what? Number of deaths by age group. Now, this is all the same disease. Not too many, not too many. Kind of weird, because it drops down and it pops back up. Probably just statistical error. 40, 49.
As you get older, it affects.
You get older, of course, this would be for almost anything, right?
Yeah.
Almost cancer, people are gonna die when they get That's for West Nile virus right there.
Oh, I thought small children were,
They are, that's why if you look at it, it's,
you know what I mean?
all right, guys, I'll see you on the lab a little bit. We'll do that through that. We'll make sure it's